gentlemen, back again for a long stretch. Got some lights today, you can see we know. By way of introduction again, my name is John Hocknull. I'm a former patrol officer in Papua New Guinea. My charming wife down there just about to take a picture of me. Morank will be presenting the day after we leave reunite, so you'll have a listen to Morank. I'm here for 2 hours, folks. So what I'll do is I'll go through this first presentation and then we'll have a little bit of a break. You can get up, stretch your legs, grab yourself a coffee or whatever it might have to be, and then the next one comes on. This first one is a story that just happened over the last couple of years, and the very, very first entry here will explain everything to you in a very short period of time. So you can get up and walk out if you want, but you're going to miss all the exciting stuff that led up to this particular story and what happened after it. So everybody has heard of 6 degrees of separation and how coincidences happen and they're all linked in together. Well, this is a fabulous example of that. When this is finished, as I say, we'll have a wee bit of a break. Stretch your legs, change places, everybody move along 5 seats, introduce yourselves to somebody else. This is a conference, right? And then we'll move on to how I became a patrol officer and the type of work I did, and that leads into the next presentation after we leave Alito, the day after we leave Alito, between Alito and Madang. So I hope you're enjoying that. Now, former patrol officer met me for a coffee time this morning, and I think there's another one on board. If there is, please put your hand up and introduce yourselves to us, because we never knew each other, that's for sure. We've got one down here, and I think there might be another one somewhere, but anyway, we're a rare breed, folks. Getting on, this presentation, this tells a story.
Next, the story of an extraordinary journey for a high school ring and the family of a veteran who fought in World War II. Action News reporter Jeff Cherico has quite a tale.
It's my privilege and honor on behalf of my uncle John Hocknull to give this ring to Richard.
And with that, a class ring missing for more than 70 years finds its way home to the family of Army Sergeant Edward Dodds, who lost it while serving in the Second World War.
Unbelievable. It's a miracle. It really is.
A poor farmer named Liam considered it a prized possession after finding it in his garden in Papua New Guinea. He showed it to a visiting Australian lecturer, John Hocknull, whose niece lives in Woodbury, New Jersey.
He wasn't sure what it was, and asked my uncle if he could take a look at it and see if he recognized it.
Hocknull contacted Audubon High School officials last summer, who used the graduation year and initials to determine it was Dodds.
We went through a local telephone directory and looked to see if there were any who had a name ending in Dodds in this area.
Dodd's son Richard got the call. He says his father joked about the ring because the middle initial was wrong.
We kind of vaguely remembered him saying, how the hell would it have the wrong initials anyway? So it wasn't something he certainly didn't dwell on the loss.
The ceremony honored Dodd's service and celebrated those who helped bring this family treasure home.
Nobody really knows how it ended up in the dirt in Liam's farm, but we got it back to its owner now.
As a way to thank Liam for giving up the ring, the Audubon Alumni Association collected donations to help send his children to school. If you'd like to contribute, you can contact the Alumni Association here at the high school. In Audubon, New Jersey, Jeff Cherico, Channel 6 Action News.
Well, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's the story in short. Now I'll tell you the long version. You saw, those who came yesterday saw the Can We Help program, and when we were up in Papua New Guinea doing that little bit of research, the NBC person there invited me out to a barbecue at night time, so I went around for a barbecue and a couple of ales, and they invited their next door neighbour in, and their next door neighbour started chatting to us, and he turns out to be in Papua New Guinea, they had a milk ad on the television, and it was for Highlands milk. And to get the thing across, they actually had this guy who was from New Britain playing the bagpipes. So he was playing the bagpipes and advertising Highlands milk. And so we were talking about bagpipes, and he said, oh, I said, wouldn't it be great to have tartans and all the rest of it? I said, oh, I said, look, I designed our clan's tartan, and I had our clan's tartan registered. So this is the Clan Cleveland Society tartan. So I told him about that. He said, oh, well, maybe we can get a tartan for Papua New Guinea and the Port Moresby pipes and drums. So I designed these two tartans for them. The one on the left is the Papua New Guinea tartan, and the one on the right is the Port Moresby pipes and drums. Joy of joy, if you see me around the ship, I'll be wearing both of those at some time or another. The object of the exercise was for them to have a tartan and for us to try and arrange for Papua New Guinea to actually go to the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. All things being equal, and if they actually get themselves a committee together, Papua New Guinea will be represented at the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo in 2019. And but when we went to, we started negotiating about going to the tattoo, and the Edinburgh Tattoo came out to Melbourne. So we contacted them and said, look, can we come and discuss a few things? And Morag and I flew down to Melbourne to see the tattoo in Melbourne, and the chair, the CEO of the Port Moresby Chamber of Commerce, he came down to Melbourne to see the tattoo. Now he's a Scotsman who lives in Milne Bay, and he's married to a lady from Milne Bay. So we three Scots are having a great time at the Melbourne tattoo, talking about trying to get Papua New Guinea there. And he said, oh, I said, you go up and down on the ship. He said, next time you go up to Milne Bay, you'll have to see my daughter, and she'll look after you and take you around and show you a few places. So what did we do? On the Pacific Jewel, that was in the August 2016, we arrived in Alito, and the daughter took us around for a little bit of a look at the place, and she said, oh, my cousin has found a ring, and this is the ring that he'd found. Can you tell him what it's all about? So I saw the ring and I looked at it and I said, oh, that's an alumni ring. Americans are really good at that. We've got a couple of Americans in the audience here today. They're good at producing these things. So I said, let me have it, and I took photographs of it, and there we've got it here. 1938. It's a high school graduation in 1938. And I took a photograph of the initials on the inside. Went back to, this is where the guy, this is the classroom of the school that this guy's kids goes to, this Liam. So I went back to Brisbane and did a bit of research and found the high school that this ring came from. Made contact with them and said, hey, we found this ring. If you can find anybody in the high school that owns this ring, we'll see what we can do about it. So the next thing that happened, we're there on the Sun Princess back into Alito, and this Scotsman's daughter, her cousin, said, look, you come round and see this bloke again and have a talk to him about this ring because he might like to give it back to the owner. I said, well, 2 days ago I got an email from America saying that they'd found the family that the ring belonged to. So we went round to, this is Liam's house, and this is Liam with his sister and one of the wee members of the family. And so Liam, we went for a wander, and Liam took us to exactly the spot that he'd found the ring. What he was doing, he built his mother a house, and he was preparing a garden for his mother, and he was digging in the ground, and up pops this ring. So he put it on his finger and looked at it. Papua New Guineans generally don't wear jewellery, not in their fingers anyway. They might have ears and nose, but not in their fingers. So I had a chat with Liam, and I said, look, I found out who the family is. If you want to, we can return the ring to America. It's up to you, your choice. So we had a bit of a chat about it, and he said, okay, not a problem, you can send this back to America. So this is on the Sun Princess, and this is what happened on the Sun Princess.
You're back, and again, we're very fortunate to have such an expert lecturer, John Hocknull. Your lecture and your wife's lectures have been absolutely fantastic. I loved that you actually had your wife talk about what it was like to be a wife.
Yes, well, women tend to get forgotten about at the beginning. It's just the guys go out and do all the macho stuff, and the women are back home and tend to be forgotten about, so we thought they needed at least some.
The other side of
Yeah, so, well, I mean, I was out 15 days a month, up to 70 days, and she was there by herself, so, and sometimes very much by herself. Nobody else was there.
And she, today, 3:30, is going to be a talk. And that's Mark's talk,
Yeah,
right?
that's her final talk.
Well, this is part 2 of the life of a wife of a patrol officer.
Yeah.
Now, you made a wonderful find the other day. You showed it to me the other day, and I said, we need to get this on the Wayne Show. Can we get a close-up of this? Is this possible, Ricky? Tell us what we're looking at here.
The last time that we went to Alata, a friend of ours took us for a drive, and she said, oh, my brother's found this ring. And I said, oh, okay, he's found a ring. Well, we went round to Seedley and with the ring, he showed it to me, and I could immediately see that it was a graduation ring from either a university or a high school. And a closer inspection, it's actually from Audubon High School in New Jersey, and excuse me, it's dated 1938.
1938.
So this is the graduation ring of a young man, and the initials are inside the ring, EDD. And I took photographs of it the first time, and I tracked that where Audubon High School is in New Jersey. I sent an email through to the principal with the EDD engraving and everything on it, and he then handed that over. You know what Americans are like, the Alumni Association.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, this high school was started in 1926, so it's a very young high school at that time. And he sent the information on to the Alumni Association. The Alumni Association then broadcast it out. I got an email just before we left Brisbane to say that the son, EDB, who's Edward Dobbs, is deceased, and his son is there, and if he would be happy to have the ring back if possible, in fact, we hear them. So when we went into Alata this time, I made contact with Liam, the owner, the finder of the ring. He found it in 2013. Whilst he was preparing a garden for his mother. He just built a house for his mother, and he was building a garden for his mother. And when he was just digging the ground to plant some sweet potato, up popped the ring.
You found this in the garden?
Yeah.
Just buried?
Yeah.
This ring came a long way to get here.
Well, we found out, just doing a bit of investigation, we found out that in that immediate area, there was an American base, there was a rehabilitation hospital. On the waterfront, there's a wharf, a small wharf there, and it's called Bethlehem Wharf. So I've got a bit of more research to do to find out exactly what the unit was. But I've emailed the son, and I've said that I've got the ring. Liam said, no, just this ring must go back to the family. So I've got the ring. Now when I go back to Brisbane, do a bit more research, get some addresses, and mail the ring off to Edward Dobbs' family.
What an amazing journey this ring had taken, right? Because of course he graduated in 1938. So he was a young man when he came out stationed here in Australia.
42, he would have 42, 43, would only been
Early 20s.
Yeah, very
early 20s. And then lost the ring.
Yeah.
It's been buried. And, probably went home, a little bit upset he lost the ring. So he obviously didn't die at the war.
Well, we don't know. We know that he's not alive now, but obviously if he's got older children, then he would have been able to survive the war, I would presume.
What a fascinating journey this thing has taken, and I'm so grateful you came on to share this with us. And it's so neat that it's going to go back to its
family.
That's fantastic, John. John, I'd like to thank you on behalf of everyone. We've had such wonderful compliments on all of your talks and presentations, and it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on board with us.
thank everybody for all the assistance that they've given us, the production crew, yourself, the whole department here, accommodation people were brilliant, and also the passengers. The other day, I told them about the legacy fund, the police legacy fund that I contribute to, and the passengers, they had some egg, Keno and foil that they throw in the drawer on. Well, they threw it into the hat, and we've got probably maybe 1,000 yen that actually bank the next time we're going to have it out for the legacy fund. So the partners and children of the 6 policemen will get an education. That's the object of the exercise.
Thank you all very much for your generosity.
Thank you.
John, thank you again.
That's a pleasure.
All right. We'll be back right after this. Stick around.
So that's what happened on the Sun Princess, and we got hold of the ring. The local newspaper in Papua New Guinea came up with this little story, but it also hit the press right throughout the States. There are a number of newspapers over there covered the story, and also the Daily Mail in the UK covered it. And now we come to this little 6 degrees of separation. The high school, the high school is here. Audubon High School is this large red star at the top here. That's the high school. That's the high school that the guy went to. And this is where the family live, in a place called Runnymede. I tried to get the ring to them. My niece lives here. 10 minutes. So between where my niece lives, where the family live, and where the high school is, you've got about a 10-minute triangle between the lot of them. So I mailed the ring over to my niece. She gave me all the details and everything. And in America, the postcode in America is quite specific. And they're basically like a GPS coordinate almost, better than Australian postcodes. But I filled out the envelope, and on our envelopes it's got 4 squares to put numbers in. And the postcode that she gave me was 08095. So I put 8095 in the boxes, and off it went. And of course, that package never saw a human being for the next 3 weeks, because it was just the computers were actually shoving it in different places. So they read 8095, which just happens to be in Colorado. And they got stuck in the mail center in Colorado, and it just sat there, and not a human being seeing the physical address that said New Jersey, and it sat in this unclaimed mail area in Colorado. And eventually somebody decided to have a look at it, and they thought, oh wow, that's it, we better put a 0 on the front and send it off to New Jersey. So it went off to New Jersey, and it goes through all the way, and it actually went through the post office at Runnymede. The guy that lost the ring worked in the postal service, and his son works in the post office that the ring went into, so he probably was sorting the mail, and this package went past him, and off it went to my niece. She got hold of it, and I gave him the phone number, and she rang up the guy, Rich Dodds, and said to him, oh, we've got a ring that belonged to your father, blah, blah, blah. And Americans are really, really, really suspicious about people who ring up out of the blue saying, I've got this family heirloom. Do you want, I said, oh God, how much are they going to charge us for this or whatever? So he said, not a problem, you can go and bring it to me. So they arranged a location. And so she got a little map out, said, okay, the corner of X and Y Street in this particular parking lot, and come there at such and such a time with the ring. So she said, not a problem. So she drove over there, and she actually drove into the car park of the police station at Runnymede, because this guy still didn't trust her to be somebody that was actually going to give her something for the family. She thought, if it's a con, I just got to walk into the police station to get a policeman and arrest this con artist. Anyway, she showed him the ring, and it all worked out quite well. Then on Australia Day, the following year, they decided to have this big presentation and everything like that. So everybody got really happy about this whole situation. Now, what happened later is the people with a small prompt from me to say maybe you'd like to replace the ring with another high school ring and send it back to Papua New Guinea. So they did a bit of checking, and the president of the Alumni Association, they collected some money, as I said, on the TV programme. We'll buy a ring, we'll buy a replacement ring. So they looked in the catalogue of alumni memorabilia, and he just quickly saw this thing, $130. Oh yeah, we can pay for a ring from this collection that we made. And then I got an email 2 days later, and he said, oops, John, we can't do that because that was the deposit. A replacement ring was going to cost $750 US. And I said, oh, well, maybe the people that actually make all this stuff might like to donate one. He said, oh, I don't know. I said, ask them. If you don't ask, you're not going to find out. So the next thing, he asked the local representative, who then had to send off to head office. Off it went, and they said, yes, we'll provide a 9-carat gold replacement ring. So the representative went round and saw the principal and said, we're going to do, the principal of the high school said, we're going to do this, and the chair of the Alumni Association. And this is what they produced. There's the old ring on the left, and the new one on the right. And you can see the Americans really going for bling when it comes to their alumni thing. Now, Richard Dodds, the son that this ring was going to, we'll just duck back to this image here, 6 degrees of separation. Richard Dodds is working away in the post office, and one of the regular clients comes in, and he's paying his monthly account, because this guy runs, you know the throwaway newspapers you get at home? They just drop all this rubbish in your letterbox. This guy runs one of these community newspapers, well, 3 or 4 of them actually, and he was in paying the postage for the delivery of all these newspapers. And Richard said to him, after giving him his check, he says, all right, well, we'll see you next month. He said, no, I'm going to Australia. And Richard Dodd said, Brisbane? He said, how did you know? That's where I come from. That's where I live. And this bloke here, David Hunter, in the middle, runs these newspapers in the same place, comes from Brisbane, and he arranged to bring the ring from New Jersey back over to Brisbane to give to us. And we met him on the banks of the Brisbane River with a whole bunch of friends. He was having a gathering, and he handed the ring over to me to bring back up to Alito. So all of these little things were all linking in together. And being a journalist, he managed to get himself a good story in his own local newspaper as well to say that it was on its way. So this is the ring, and this is a closer look at the whole thing. Now, if the old ring on this, the left-hand image, the old ring had like a portico of the high school. Well, that's the image on the left there, and the green stone represents the green wave, which is the high school logo. So off we go, we jump on a ship, the Golden Princess, and come back up to Alito, and we meet Liam and his mother, and the crew from the ship come out and they make this big presentation of the ring. So at the same time, the Alumni Association had collected quite a deal of money together, and we asked Liam and Liam's mum, who actually looks after his kids, what's the best thing to do with this money? And his mother said, don't give it to Liam. She said, it's for the kids' educations. You guys, we want a laptop each for the kids, and we want a few other bits and pieces, and Liam's daughter is studying business, and she wanted some some technical books and everything for her education. So we bought a whole pile of stuff in Australia and carted it up there and handed it over to Liam and his family. And as I say, there was 2 laptops and other bits and pieces, but there was still some cash left. So I gave some cash to Liam's mum and said, all right, and at the beginning of the school year, we'll get some more cash to you. So all in all, we've given them around about $9,000 equivalent, sorry, 9,000 kina equivalent of the donations from all of the alumni. But he had no idea that he was going to get this replacement ring. And it looked like a wedding ceremony. I'm putting a ring on his finger. It was quite funny. But we told this story on the Golden Princess before we got off the ship to Canada, and everybody was fascinated with it. The next thing that happened was about 300 people all standing out on the wharf watching this handover and everything that was going on. It was quite amusing. And at the end of the day, the family got together. This is a traditional bowl that you'll see in the markets in Alito, and they gave us a bowl as a farewell gift. And that's the family there we got there. That's in May last year. Yeah, May last year. And again, the next thing that happened, off to the States again for saying that the ring had returned. And that is the story of the ring, ladies and gentlemen. And it's all of these things just flipping. Now the American couple that are here, they saw the story on the news in the States when they were there, and I've heard since from Richard Dodds that their family is frantically saving to come to Australia, stay a week in Australia, and then take a cruise up to Alito and then back down so that they can actually meet their family. Now, what I'm going to do is move on to